Thank you. My name is Peter Wieczorek, and I'm the director and one of the teachers at Northwest Passage High School in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. I know all of you know that student who just really didn't like school, didn't like to be there. I was that student. I hated just about everything about high school. And when I go back home and visit family and friends, they can't believe that for the last 20 years, I have been willingly and happily driving over an hour every day to come into high school. But what they don't understand is that I got the opportunity to be a part of an amazing team that created the school that we would have wanted to go to. We have a saying that we want to create a school that people are banging down the doors to get in rather than to get out. High school shouldn't have to be a 4-year sentence that you endure. It should be a place where everyone wants to be there. They're happy, hopeful, and really thriving. And so that's what we did. 25 years ago, when we started Northwest Passage High School, we really wanted to lean into the charter school movement and be a learning lab for other schools and to really take on the Minnesota model of being innovative. And so over the years, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of visitors come into Northwest Passage to learn what it is we do. So if I could invite you all there, this is what I would tell you about our innovations. It starts with a small school. We're a school of 180 students, and we want to keep it small because we get to know all of our students on a first-name basis. We keep our class sizes and our advisories to no more than 16 students. And that's really important for the model that I'm going to talk to you about. Because in that, then, we have an advisory model that students get to be a part of the same advisory for at least a year, if not 2 or 3 years. And what our students will tell you about that is it becomes their crazy second family. But what it really does is it humanizes the high school experience, because we're not moving back and forth every hour between classes, shifting what are the expectations. Students really know what to expect when they're there, and their advisors are not just their teachers, but they're their life coaches, their mentors, someone to give them a hug when they need it, and a gentle kick in the butt when they're slacking, right? Our parents love it because they know, who do I contact? I know I go right to the advisor. I don't have to kind of figure out the complicated high school system. Then we move into the innovation of how do we deliver our curriculum? We're a project-based, student-centered, project-based learning school that really has kind of a continuum of project-based learning, from a teacher-led class where students are making choices at the end about what their projects and what the input is, all the way to the goal of having students really design their own curriculum, their own projects through their personal learning plans. And we just act as mentors and resources and feedback and providing assessment. We recognized about 5 years ago that our 9th grade students were really struggling. And it started us looking at what was going on. And we started to see research across the country on what was called 9th grade shock. And when students would come into high school, expectations have changed, the learning models have changed. And so we're fortunate enough to have a 3-building campus where we dedicated one of the buildings to what we call our Headwaters cohort, the beginning. And we really work on scaffolding everything for those students in a gradual release model where we do a lot of things at the adult end at first to really support them, help them understand the academic model, but also what it means to be in high school, and then move them through that process to where they have more and more autonomies. On the other end of that, we have a cohort that we call Delta for our super seniors. We have a good portion of our students who are 18 to 21 years old, and we've always had students come to us in their 10th, 11th, even 12th grade year, behind in credits, behind in reading and math skills, but they still want to get a high school diploma rather than dropping out or getting a GED. So we created our Delta program for them to really honor the dignity of, I want to be in school still, but it doesn't work for me in the traditional model. And so we can support them and working in hybrid models and having them adjust to whatever their work schedule is. And then our really unique innovation at Northwest Passage is we are an experiential learning school. We believe that learning happens outside the four walls of the school, and so we're highly mobile. We have 6 vans and a bus. At any given day, a quarter to a third of the students are out of the building learning by doing, whether that's their advisory doing a service learning project, their class visiting a research center, getting out into the field. I'm a biology teacher, so I want to get my students out there, getting dirty and getting, digging into science. But that's really the tip of the iceberg. We also offer 20 to 25 overnight learning expeditions every year at no cost to students and families. About 18 years ago, our board decided that from an equity standpoint, we wanted every student to be able to participate and not have to worry about cost or fundraising. And then that way we could attach credits to the work that we were doing. And in those 20 to 25 overnight learning expeditions, we go all throughout Minnesota, across the country. And pre-pandemic, we were doing an international trip every year, and we're hoping to bring that back again. We level out our trips. We start with our level 1 trips for our 9th graders and new students. Those are typically one night less than 100 miles away. How do you do away from home, away from school, and that introduction? And then they go on to level 2 trips. And level 2 trips are typically 2 to 3 nights, often outdoors, camping, canoeing, backpacking, snowshoeing, dog sledding. Remember, we're in Minnesota. And so they get out and have these opportunities. But in those level 2 trips, we also do a lot of leadership trips. And we've added a number of urban travel trips to show students what it means to explore in an urban setting. And then we're always asked, how do you get on a trip like this? And how do you advance? And I always say, well, you do your pre-work, you fully participate in the expedition, do the follow-up, and then laugh, smile, and have a good time and say, I want to do more of this. And that opens the doors for more trips. Our level 3 trips are for our seniors, and they're 7 to 10 day trips, often in a wilderness context. We do Big Bend, Texas. We've done the Canyonlands in Utah, Yellowstone National Park. We just had a group come back a couple weeks ago from New Mexico, Carlsbad Caverns and White Sands. We do Washington, D.C. every spring. We do a Gulf Coast trip to Louisiana. And one of the great things about that is when seniors graduate, I have the honor of doing senior exit interviews. And I spend 30 to 40 minutes with each senior talking about their experience. And inevitably, expeditions always comes up as one of the highlights. I had a really unique talk recently with one of our former graduates and alumni. He's 30 years old now, and he told me, after graduating from Northwest Passage, my goal was to hit all 50 states before I turned 50. He's 30, he's hit 33 so far, so he's ahead of schedule. So all of those things are just some of the innovations that we have. I'd love to tell you more, but I don't have enough time. But when folks come and visit, one of the things they always say is, how do we become Northwest Passage 2? And I say, you can't. Because we're on Northwest Passage at least 25. Because we're constantly changing, constantly evaluating what we're doing. What I do say to them is, you have to understand who are your students, who's your community, and what's your mission and what's important to you. Our mission is rekindling our hope, exploring our world, seeking our path while building our community. And I hope you see how all the things I talked about intertwine into that mission. So in closing, I would really like to say, I would love for you to all come to Minnesota and visit for real. Spring or fall and summer are beautiful in Minnesota. When you come, I'd love to show you Northwest Passage, but I'd love to also show you another dozen or so really amazing, innovative schools in Minnesota that are doing some really amazing work. And I started by saying, we created a school I would have wanted to go to as a student. What we realized quickly on is that we're continually co-creating the school that our staff, our students, and our families want to be a part of. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your conference.